Hello, good afternoon. Is it afternoon yet? Yes, it is. Welcome back to my channel. Uh, yeah, it's been a while, and I'm just tired of making excuses. So today, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about how much doctors earn in Nigeria. As you all know, I'm a medical doctor in Nigeria. I studied in a foreign university, but I've been in Nigeria since 2016. 15, 16. I started working. I got my first official job in 2016 August. So today I'm going to be talking about how much doctors earn, right from junior doctors, interns basically, to the topmost elders, as we call them, in the medical field. Salaries vary actually, depending on if you work in the private sector or in the public sector, and also it's also varies if you work with the federal government or with the state government. And as you would expect, salaries are higher if you work with a federal hospital in a federal hospital, and they are slightly lower if you work in a state hospital. That's because obviously the federal government has much money and state government have limited resources. The entry point for doctors into practicing medicine, that's if you're fresh out of medical school, you enter as a house officer slash intern. So you're an intern or you're a house officer, and you have to do this compulsory 1 year. We call it housemanship here in Nigeria. In other countries, they may call it internship. So it's basically the same thing. Well, the length of this period may differ depending on which country you're from, or which country you reside in. So, for instance, in the UK, I know it's 2 years for interns, but in Nigeria, it's just 1 year, 12 months calendar year. And in this 1 year in Nigeria, you'd have to rotate through 4 departments. So pediatrics, surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, and internal medicine. You spend 3 months in each of these departments. And within this period, you have 1 week of leave. So technically, you spend 11 weeks in a way, depending on how many weeks is in a month, right? So it's calculated that you have 1 week off after each department as a leave. But some people decide to take this as a cumulative 1 month at the end of the internship year. So house officers slash interns, how much do they earn? As I mentioned earlier, it's quite different depending on which sector. Which kind of hospital. So if you work in a federal government hospital, you're more likely to earn higher than your counterpart that is working in a state hospital. And federal government hospitals, you can have FMCs, that's federal medical centers, or teaching hospitals. When I was an intern, I earned approximately 190,000 naira per month. Now that obviously, for different months was slightly different depending on deductions, because we have these monthly deductions or quarterly deductions by, for instance, NMA, that's the Nigerian Medical Association, and ARD, that's your local Association of Resident Doctors chapter. So depending on how much deductions was made in a particular month, that amount may vary. But let's just say averagely 190, 180. So yes, but I never earned less than 176 in a month. Now my counterparts that worked with state government hospitals were earning around 150. I even heard stories of how people earn 130 something thousand naira. And this salary is not reflective of how much work they have to do, because I can imagine that in some state hospitals they would work more because obviously they are low staffed. State governments tend to not employ enough staff to man a hospital, so I'm sure that they're overworked there because obviously there's shortage of staff, and so this amount is not reflective of the amount of work they have to do. It's just the strata. I don't know. It's like a set system in a way. So after that, after 1 year as an intern, you go for this 1 year compulsory youth service, and everybody is paid the same amount. Right now, the federal government pay the members of this youth service mission 30,000 naira. Depending on the state you are, some state government will pay you, and some places that if you're posted to a certain hospital, some hospitals may pay you, some may not. Some state governments will not even pay. I served in River State, and I was not paid a dime by the state government, but I got paid by where I was posted to. But my best friend, she's serving in Lagos right now. Federal government pays her 30K, but the state government does not pay her anything. The hospital where she works in, or the clinic where she works in, they've not talked about paying her at all. So per month she's just going to be earning 30,000 naira, which is really poor. We need to change that, but oh well. All right, so after that 1 year compulsory national youth service, you have to write an exam. If you pass, you can apply to start a residency program in an accredited hospital. And so you start from the level of being a registrar, a junior registrar actually. And again, this also depends on where you're doing your program, and that would obviously reflect how much you're going to earn. So I was a registrar, I was a resident in a state university, teaching hospital, and my salary was around 280 something, 260 something, within that range. Now my counterparts that worked with federal hospitals earn 100,000 plus of that. So a colleague of mine that worked with an FN with a federal medical center was earning 370 something actually. So again, this is not reflective of the amount of work that you do. It's just, if you work with the state government, you earn less. If you work with the federal government, you earn more. Yeah. And after that level, you have to write another exam. If you pass it, you become a senior registrar. And now senior registrars, you earn more, obviously, because with each level you earn more. Senior registrars earn around 460, something like that. So almost 200,000 naira more than being a junior registrar. And from that, you have to write another exam as well. And not just an exam, you have to carry out a research and all of that. Then you become a consultant. Now consultants, they're divided into two stratas in a way. There is a junior consultant and the senior consultant. And this is dependent on how many years you spent in the system. So for junior consultants in the state hospitals, they earn approximately 500 to 600. In the federal hospitals, they would earn obviously higher than that. And when you become a senior consultant as well, your salary increases. And when you're on this level, like when you're on this level of residency, because they're no longer in the residency program anyways, but when you're a senior consultant, I feel like your salary increases with your year of practice. So I know a consultant that earns as high as 1 million naira, but obviously he has been working for over 20 years as a consultant. So yeah. All right, so I don't know, I think I mentioned this in a previous video where I said that the pathway in medicine is kind of divided into two, where if you decide to go into residency or not. Now I've talked about how much people in residency program earn. Now on the other side, for doctors that are not on the residency path, they are paid according to their cadre. So there's this strata system we use in Nigeria where you get promoted, I think every 2 years. So you get for instance, from level 17, level 7, level 8, level 9, level 10, like that. For the medical, for the health sector, that strata is kind of different in comparison to, for instance, teachers. But yes, so you get paid according to your cadre. And on this other part of medicine, we have MOs, they're called medical officers. They're almost on the level of junior registrars, and from that they get promoted to being SMOs, so senior medical officers. From that level they get promoted to level of PMOs, that's principal medical officers, CMOs, chief medical officers, and so on. And so those people get paid according to yes, they're catered. The amount of money or the amount of salary they are entitled to according to that level. And so definitely it's quite different from the amount doctors in the residency path on the residency path get paid. Okay, so I've talked about the public sector. I'm going to be talking about the private sectors now. So if you decide to work for a private hospital, obviously your salary, the amount you earn is not governed by rules or laws of the land. This is left to the discretion of the owner of the hospital or the HR department. But generally, you're not expected to get less than 150 in a way for a start. So if you apply to a hospital as for an MO position, for a medical officer position, you're not expected to get less than 150 for a start. Now, this salary is just a baseline. Obviously, there are other things, other compensations on top of that. And so these compensations are dependent on your skill. So for instance, if you have ultrasonography skills, you might get paid per patient, or you might get paid per day or per month. Or for instance, we have surgical skills. If you can perform some minor surgeries or minor surgical procedures, some hospitals will compensate you for this. And so obviously 150 being your baseline, at the end of the month this might become a bigger amount depending on your skill. Work life in the private sector is quite hectic compared to the public sector. I even know of some hospitals where they have accommodation in the premises for their staff, and that invariably means that those doctors or those medical staff, health personnel, are on duty 24 hours. They can be called at any time of the day to attend to a patient any time of the day. Those ones basically don't have a life. So I would, if possible, I would advise people to go for the public sector, obviously, because of the work-life balance. Well, there's an update. MDCN, which is our governing council that governs everything medical related, they released the circular some weeks ago that they're going to be in charge of recruiting house officers, that is interns, for this 1 year compulsory training period. And they said they'll be in charge of recruiting and also be in charge of paying them. Although there's no confirmation yet, but there's been some news circulating about that intern salaries are about to be dropped down to almost 100,000 naira, which is very, very poor. I remember when I was in medical school and my colleagues would ask me if I was going to come back to Nigeria to work, and I would say yes, because then in 2010, 2011, the salary of house officers here was equivalent to almost $1,500. But today, our money is way less than $400. In fact, way less, almost $300. In fact, I'm not even sure it's up to $350 because of obviously the devaluation of naira. And so the naira value keeps dropping every day. The buying power of your money, of your salary, is getting worse, obviously. And so I just hope things will change for us, for the country. And these are the reasons, obviously, that doctors are migrating en masse to look for a better life somewhere else. I mean, you would not blame them. You don't expect me to spend 6 years in school, spend millions and millions of naira on my education without any support. There was no scholarship provisions for us. And I come back and I'm not appreciated and I'm not compensated well. I mean, you can't expect me. Of course, I love my country, but I have bills to pay. Alright, so that'll be all for today. If you have any questions or if you'd like me to do videos like this, just give me a thumbs up, and you can obviously leave questions down below as to what you'd like me to do or what you'd like me to see or the kind of videos you'd like me to make. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.